Hello, traders. How are we doing today? It is a pleasure to be with you this fine Wednesday morning. The market is ripping. Things are good. How are y'all? I see a few of you guys are here. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jason Krutzky. Talk to me. Where are you guys tuning in from? How are you doing today? What are you trading today? Y'all know that I always like to know these sorts of things. So hit me with what you got. Where's your head at today? Obviously, kind of the talk of the town, at least from what I've been absorbing and consuming in social world via Twitter Spaces and things today, is IWM. Holy moly, IWM up 7% from yesterday's open, over 7%. Fooling around with the 200-day moving average. We could see that they came into this really nice area of low volume right here. This is from the, what is this? This is the July 31st highs, huge area of low volume that we have just absolutely breezed through like a hot knife through butter, as they say. Just a huge move, 7% over the past 2 days. That's wild. Small caps, obviously, the most beaten down names out there because of rising interest rates, right? These companies that are smaller companies, they just can't, they have to deal with the rising interest rates a lot more than the bigger companies do. So they've been more highly affected. But wow, what a move. I was kind of thinking it might be interesting to tool around in the strategy tester and just kind of see, you've got that 200-day moving average there. I'm curious where they're at on the fibs from those highs. Where are we at? So we're just breaking through the 50% retrace today. You've got the 618 at 184.75. So that's going to be an interesting spot too. You've got this volume node right here around 185. So that area could be kind of interesting. But what I wanted to kind of see was just a 7% move in 2 days. What are the odds of that and how often has that happened? So I'm quickly going to look. For anybody who is maybe newer to the TrendSpider platform, let's talk a little bit about how you would script this, because even though it is very simple, if you're new to this, it might be a little bit difficult. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go into add GPT conditions here, and I'm just going to say close greater than yesterday. Actually, I'm just going to say close greater than close and say apply. You know what? Actually, I'm going to change this to open. So we've got price close greater than price open. That's referring to one candle. But what I want to do is I want to refer to yesterday's open, right? Because we want to include 2 candles here. So I'm going to change this to one candle ago. So now we've got today's close, which is essentially the current price, is greater than yesterday's open. And then right here where you have these 3 dots, you can add a buy at least margin. And so I'm going to add a 7% margin. So today's close, or the current price, is greater than yesterday's open by at least 7%. Ooh, hold on one second. I got a colleague asking me a question. So this is essentially just scripting what's happening today. And then on the exit side, since we don't really have anything that we want to necessarily define here, we just want to define some time. Maybe we want to see, looking out a certain amount of days, what could we expect? So I'm going to use the added candles past option, and I'm just going to look maybe like, I don't know, what do you guys think? Maybe like 10 days, 2 weeks out. I'm going to switch this data button. This is where we define how far back we're testing. So this is preset by default to 300 candles. That's not that much time. I want to extend this range by a lot, and I can extend it up to 7,000 candles. And we're going long on this idea just to kind of see. And this is what we get back. So this is quite a rare, assuming that they close somewhere right around where they're at today, and we do have a proper 7% move over the past 2 days. This has only happened 14 times in 23 and a half years of the IWM's existence. If we look back on the chart, holy cow, we haven't even seen an entry. When was the last time we saw an entry? So the last time we saw moves like this, crazy, we're off of the COVID lows here. Interesting, very interesting. So you had a move, you had a 7% move kind of right off the lows initially. Looks like it did continue to extend for an additional day or two before chopping sideways and retracing. Here we got another entry right here, and it looks like it went a little sideways. And then we exit. Here we get another entry. We chop sideways for a few days before continuing higher. Here we get another entry. So this happened, wow, 1, 2, 3, 4 times during the peak fear of the COVID lows, where this thing extended, where IWM extended at least 7% in a matter of 2 days. But the reality behind this idea is that it doesn't happen very often, 14 times. Your win rate is 57%. There are very blaring issues here, but we're not even really trying to figure out if this is a viable strategy. We're just trying to understand the reality of a move like this and what it tends to bring. So it looks like your average win is 4.43%. Your average return, though, this is the big number that that I kind of pay attention to, because it includes your average loss too. You know, it includes everything. So in just an average return 10 days out from a move like this is negative 2.7%. So what does that tell us? Well, it kind of tells us that we should potentially expect a little bit of a retracement before this thing maybe continues higher. Maybe they try and push it just a little bit higher, perhaps into that big volume node up here from those July highs. But, you know, this gives us a little bit of an idea. And of course, we could try different things. You know, when it comes to strategy testing, my default belief is to try lots of different things, because you just never know what you're going to find. So when we extend that to 30 days, then what that does is that removes some of those entries off of the COVID low. Not all of them, but it does remove some of them. But the reality behind this, what do we get? An average return of 2.47% over these 8 positions. 8 positions. That's absolutely wild to me. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of kind of what to expect from this. We could also kind of take a different approach. I'm going to go with a new strategy here. And let's say we want to test like price, I don't know, maybe something with this 200-day moving average. First, let's just try price crossing up on it, or price. Let's try price crossing up on it. So I'll say simple moving average. Price has touched it. Let's just say price has touched it. And then I'm going to add a GPT condition here and say price less than SMA 200. And then say apply. Because we want to define where it's coming from. If it's touched it, that's fine. But we also want to define maybe perhaps that it was below the SMA 200 previously, before it touched it. So let's just do that. I'm going to say price close less than the 200 SMA 1 candle ago. So on the current candle, it's touched it like it's doing today. It hasn't properly broken through it yet. We don't have a close above it. Now, when we get a close above it, then, and we get an open, if we get an open tomorrow above it, then that'll be a proper breakthrough. But right now we're just at a touch here. So we're going to say price has touched the 200 SMA and 1 candle ago, price closed below it. And then again, maybe we want to just utilize a candlestick pattern, or I'm sorry, a certain number of candles in the future. We want to get out of this trade X candles from now. And so again, we'll run this trade, or we'll run this strategy here and just kind of see what the common track of price is when it's touched the 200 SMA historically, so, and coming from below it. So 45 positions over that same period of time, about 23 years, win rate 53%, average return just 0.5%, looking out 5 days from a move like that. Now today, if this thing does end up just kind of closing just below this moving average, then what we'll get is an entry. When we run, if we were to run this test again tomorrow, we get an entry with a little pattern track, a visual representation of all of the previous trades that have taken place and kind of where to expect this thing to go based off of all of the historical trades. I can show you guys kind of what that looks like. Actually, let's just do this. Let's say, let's do this. Let's duplicate this and make this 2 candles ago. We'll just say 2 days below, just so you guys can kind of see what this looks like. We have 2 closes below the 200 SMA. And so we get this little pattern track here. It's kind of what it looks like. But let's see what happens maybe if we get a cross up. You know, the idea behind the strategy tester is really simple. You know, it's allowing you to make more educated decisions, right? You get to decide based off of what's happened, do we need to even consider taking trades here? So let's say this. Let's pretend that price does close above that today. So I'm going to write that condition real quick. Let's say indicator, simple moving average, price is broken through it. And then let's add some conditions here. We're going to say price close less than indicator SMA 200. And I'm going to duplicate this a bunch of times because it's closed below that 200 a lot. So I'm going to say one candle ago. We're just going to redefine some of this stuff. And, you know, there are a few of you guys here. I'm just tooling around. I have no agenda today. So if you guys have questions for me, please do ask them. This is y'all's chance to, you know, ask questions live, get answers to those questions live with a nice proper demo of whatever it is that you're curious about. So please do ask those questions. I can, you know, I'm just tooling around. I'm just being curious and exploring. If you guys are cool with just kind of watching me be curious and exploring, that's totally fine too. But yeah, I'm really here for y'all and to answer y'all's questions. So please, if you have them, post them in the chat. Let me know what you got. So what I've just defined here, and I'll expand this so we can see it a little better. Price broke through the 200 SMA, but the past 10 candles, it closed below it. So again, I'm going to utilize just a number of candles that passed, and we'll do like 30. That's cool. We'll give it a decent chunk of time to kind of look through, because the thing is definitely closed below the 200 for quite a few days. So we're looking for scenarios like this, kind of what we saw back in May. You had a long period of time closing below, and then you broke through. What happened? You have a long period of time closing below, and then you break through. What happens? And so on. You can kind of see where my head's at on this idea. I'm going to look further back in time. So it looks like they certainly struggled with this breakthrough back in November of last year. Worked quite well in January of this year. We ended up in a profit just on that 30 days out. Worked quite well in June of this year. So then, you know, how do you gauge your expectation here? Well, 26 times in history this has happened, 65% win rate. Your average return, 0.75%. Not really all that great still. So, you know, maybe that 200 SMA isn't something to be super mindful of. You know, maybe just based off of some of these sheer data points, there isn't really a ton there. But, you know, that's why we do the strategy testing. That's why we test strategies, to kind of see what can work. So there are a few of you guys in here. Hit me up. Where are you guys tuning in from? Say hello. I'm sitting here talking to myself. I'd love to meet and greet and talk to a few of you, if any of you guys happen to have any questions. One second, I'm responding to a colleague here. So we had, let's see, what did we have today on the earnings side? I know a couple folks were talking about, what do we have? We had Target. Target, huge move from Target. Huge move. What is this guy up on the day? $14.5% from Target. Holy moly. Let's test it. And just see. Oops, actually, let's use GPT. GPT conditions are a brand new functionality to the platform. We've started employing AI kind of across the board wherever we can, and GPT conditions are one of those iterations. And again, like I kind of showed you guys, you can type in price conditions and indicator conditions, and it essentially knows what we're trying to say. So if I were going to say price, actually, let's say just close greater than open. It's going to automatically script that for me. And then we'll add by at least 14%. Again, I'm just going to look a certain number of candles past and see. Oops. Let's push this to the limits here. Yeah, wow. So this is like, this never happens on target. That's a huge move. Johnny and Jack, good morning, gentlemen. All right, so Johnny, you'd love to see a demonstration of using a fib retracement on a stock like Microsoft that is above all-time highs for potential price targets. That's a great question, sir. So there are a couple of different schools of thought there, and I'll show you how I think about it. And then, you know, you can kind of take that and run with it, or let me remove some of these guys just so we can kind of see things a little bit clearly. Now, me personally, if I'm going to be hunting fib targets, I'm going to be utilizing kind of the biggest swing from the highs, from the previous highs that we took out. Now, technically, you did make a new high. You did make a new all-time high back in July. Fair. However, just the way that I look at things, and just because I look at things this way doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way to look at things, but it's how I look at things. I'm going to use, actually, we'll kind of look at a couple of different schools of thought. My initial school of thought is always going to be to measure a fib sequence from the previous all-time high to the swing low from that all-time high, right? So your swing low would be down here, October lows of 2020. And then your previous all-time high back in 2021 at 349. So this is where my head is at. Now, we want to see the extensions higher. Different people have different opinions about what extensions are important. The 0.236, the 0.382, the 50%, the 0.618. I don't know that there is necessarily a right or a wrong way here. Every single fib level can act as a potential level of support or resistance. So it's not a bad idea to know where all of them are. I have a tendency to pay attention more to that 50% retrace or 50% extension and the 0.618. Those are the ones that throughout my career I've always heard about. Every smart guy that I pay attention to talks about the 0.618 and the 0.5. So that's where my head would be measuring from this previous all-time high, only because, yes, we made a new all-time high, but they immediately rejected it and reversed. So I would have a hard time utilizing this high as the thing that I drew my sequence from. Just personally, nothing against doing it that way. So then your second idea would be from this high down to its swing low. And then you're looking for, again, the same spots. So another thought here, let me just change the color of this so they kind of appear differently. There are folks that I know that utilize fibs in really unique ways. And one of kind of the more obscure ways that I've kind of learned or been taught to utilize fibs is looking for areas where multiple fib sequences or multiple fib measurements coincide. Like you have a 0.12 or 0.236 at 380 on not just this fib sequence, but this fib sequence as well. So that in theory could give you a little bit of extra belief that that 380 level might actually be a spot that you could find a little bit of resistance at. Whether or not that's an ultimate target, I can't tell you. Whatever, it's unique per your trade. But the fact that you've got two 1.238 extensions there is kind of interesting and gives it a little bit more power potentially. The third way of measuring this, let me see exactly, let me go to a monthly and see what the auto fibs does. Yeah, so this is where my head was at, was what the auto fib is doing. The auto fib is measuring a fib sequence on the most recently completed move per the time frame. So your most recently completed swing is actually the October low to the all-time high. Well, because it's an upside move, the auto fib automatically plots the reversal of that move. So you notice in here, I turned on the reversal to flip it upside, but by default, it automatically is going to plot the fibs to the downside. And in really strong trends, we generally will see only light pullbacks. You won't see the fib price coming into some of these deeper fib levels. You'll often see this like a 0.382 or a 50% retrace acting as support and then price reversing. So then you might want to take this exact same fib sequence and flip it to the upside so that you could see the extensions higher. And so we can right click on it and go to properties and we can choose reverse. And then that gives us our extensions higher. Now, obviously, those extensions higher are quite a bit higher because it's a totally different fib sequence. So again, that same idea that we used previously where we measure multiple fib sequences. I'm going to reverse this one and make it a different color to see if there's any instances where the fibs from this sequence line up with the fibs from this sequence. And there really aren't. There aren't any clear spots where you have like really nice overlap. So yeah, I mean, I guess that it doesn't really completely answer your question, does it? Because it doesn't give you some cold hard evidence. What I would do is perhaps I would do a little bit of research into, you know, what would be the most proper way to measure an all-time high fib sequence. Is it from the swing that brought you up to the all-time high and now we're pushing past that? Or is it from the previous swing? I just have my doubts about this particular sequence because that new all-time high that we made in July was kind of pretty deeply rejected. It was just instant. We made a new all-time high and then it just rejected. And now we're pushing up past it. So that's why I personally would be measuring from here. But again, you know, whether that's right or wrong it's tough to say. I don't know that it's right or wrong. It's just one methodology. And really, ultimately, Johnny, what it boils down to is how long do you want to be in this trade? What's your idea? Where are you in this trade from? If you're planning on being in this trade for quite some time, then, you know, and you're pretty darn bullish on this name, you know, all-time highs are not bearish, right? Especially with a name like Microsoft. This thing has been just an absolute monster over the past year. It's been a huge performer with AI. You got to assume it's going higher. And it's just a matter of, well, how are you trading this thing? Are you in options that expire in December? Are you in shares that you think you want to hold for the next 2 years? That gives you a good sense of or at least knowing that should help you determine kind of where your head is at. So hopefully that's a little bit helpful. I don't know if it's completely helpful because I can't give you a cold hard answer, but you know, if you, and also think about this, we're talking about huge time frames here. We were just measuring off of the monthlies and the weeklies. Well, if we measure off of the dailies, then the instant thought for me is to measure off of this high down to this low. But if I'm looking at the dailies, then I'm thinking about things a little bit differently. You know, I'm thinking about the trade differently. If I'm looking at the weeklies, I'm probably thinking about some sort of longer term trade. If I'm looking at the monthlies, I'm definitely thinking about a longer term trade. If I'm looking at the dailies, perhaps I'm thinking about something a little bit shorter term. And if I'm thinking shorter term, then my targets are going to be not as high, right? At least that's how I think about it. How do you think about it? Does that help you? I hope that helps you. So Jack, is there an indicator that projects 1 standard deviation or 2 standard deviation price levels into the future on various charts? I wish I could tell you that there was. There are several tools that project standard deviations, but projecting, like, I'm thinking that you're wanting horizontal levels. And are you wanting horizontal levels from like the current price, or where are you wanting those 1 standard deviations and 2 standard deviations from? Because, for example, let me show you this. Like, here's an anchored VWAP from the July highs. So I can go to properties on this thing and I can choose standard deviation bands. And what this is going to do is I can give it levels, right? I can say 1, 2, 3, and say apply. And so here's 1, 2, 3 standard deviations from this anchored VWAP from those highs. And it's not projected out into the future, but it at least tells you kind of like where you are relative to them. Like we are quite extended. We are quite extended from that anchored VWAP, well over 3 standard deviations from that anchored VWAP. Expected move kind of ideas. Gotcha. Yeah, so let me think about. There's this indicator, pivot points daily. Let me see if what this is. I don't really use this too much, but I believe this might be kind of within. Oh, cool. Yeah, so maybe, Jack, maybe that's a thought, is add those standard deviation bands to your anchored VWAP. This pivot points daily, I'd need to look into exactly. I have to be honest, I don't know how every single indicator on our platform works. But pivot points daily gives us deviation, I believe deviations. I need to figure out exactly if this is like 1 standard deviation, 2, 3. My guess is that it is not, but I can look into it. Let me see here. Actually, let me show you guys this. If you go to this question mark up here and go to read docs and knowledge base, let's see if there's anything on the pivot points daily indicator. There may not be. Indicator definitions. Pivot points daily are widely used calculations of support and resistance levels. Many traders plot pivot points on chart to show potential areas of support resistance while relying on other technical indicators for confirmation. That doesn't really tell us what we're after here, does it? The other thing that I would tell you, Jack, is there an indicator that you're already using that does this? Like perhaps on another platform, like TradingView or something? Because if you have a particular indicator elsewhere that you're utilizing, then you calculate mainly from options vol IV. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. And are you doing those calculations manually, or do you have an indicator that does it? We don't have options vol values currently, so there wouldn't be a way at this immediate moment to transpose that. Got it. TOS has something. If you can, Jack, link me to what you're referring to. Link me to the tool that you're using. If there's any like documentation on it, there is a decent chance that it is scriptable on the platform. Recently, we launched custom scripting via JavaScript. And we are in the process of slowly building out some of these kind of more periphery, harebrained indicators and making them available on the platform. But we're also, this is open to developers, so anybody can build off of this. Ah, Jack, interesting. Nice, man. Well, if you're doing it that way, are you, I almost wonder if there's a way that you could create an indicator using JavaScript. I'm like 99% certain you can. Now, how you actually do that is to be honest, a little bit outside of my pay grade, but, perhaps we could, we could chat about it offline. I could send your ideas into our development team and we could talk about it. Do this. Hit me up if you're on Twitter. Hit me up on Krutzky at Krutzky Trades. That's my Twitter handle. And honestly, this is good for all of you guys too. Anybody who's tuned in. If you guys ever have any questions and I'm not on here talking live and answering them directly and immediately, hit me up. You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to shoot me a message on Twitter. I'm an open book. I'm happy to help with any questions that you guys might have. Jacob, would it be possible to have an option on TrendSpider that lets you scan stocks historically like TC2000? Example, see all stocks that gain 50% within a 20-day period within the last 6 months. Yes. So here's how I would do it. First thing that you want to do, you want to define that 20-day period, right? And you want to define that 50% move. So I would say price daily close greater than price daily close 20 candles ago. Buy at least 50%. Did I do that too fast? If I did that too fast, please let me know, Jacob, and I'll slow it down. Actually, I'm just going to slow it down because I want to make sure you see how I did this. You could do it how I just did it. You could also do it in add GPT condition. You could say close greater than close. That's all you have to write. Close greater than close. So price close greater than price close, right? And then where it says last, this is how you define the candle that you're referring to. Okay, great. We make this 20 candles ago. So today's close is greater than 20 candles ago's close. Buy at least 50%. So there's your 50% move in a 20-day period. Now, this is pretty exact. To be fair, this is pretty exact. And because it's exact, it might lead to not quite exactly what you're looking for. Because it's exact. So what we might want to do is we might want to say happened within, let me think about this real quick. You said a 6-month period. So what we could say is we could say happened within, there's what, 20 trading days in a month. So a 6-month period is going to be 120 candles. We're going to turn the current candle toggle on. Oh, I can't do 120 candles back. How far back can I look here? No? 10 candles back? 10 candles back works. 20 candles back works. Does 50 candles back work? 30 candles back works. Does 40? 30. Okay, 30 candles back is as far as we can go. Let's think about this. Trying to think of other ways to do it. I'm just going to run this and see. No Dow Jones 30 members making 50% gains. Let's check this. I just want to see what it finds. This is another thought for y'all. When you're running scans, run them and see what the results come back as. Because that can give you an idea of 23 bucks. bars. Let's make this 20 bars. Yeah, so this is up 66% in 20 candles. OWL, ML. It's just the 6-month period piece. So how can we go about defining that? Kind of wonder if I did this. Like this isn't going to be just right, but what if we said like 20 candles ago, 40 candles ago? What if we took it in little chunks? Because this way I can definitely look further back. Let's just do that, and we'll add one more. And now I'm learning. I want y'all to know I'm learning along with you here. You know, this is something that I've never looked for. So I got to think through it. Oops. I need to make this any of the following. And I might come to a better way, a better realization of how to go about doing this exactly. Okay, so 120 is too far back. So 100 is the max. We'll rerun the scan and see. Yeah, so that's up 79%. What I really want to see is something that's that moved. Yeah, so like this. Off of these lows to here, 10 bars, 50%. All right, it's not really what we're looking for. So it might have moved 50% at a different time. Maybe here. How far back is this? I'm learning along with y'all. Okay, so yeah, there you go, 77 bars. So here's a 50% move probably from here, from this low to this high. Yeah, 87% there. Here's your 50% move on that gap up. So Jacob, this is finding what you're after. However, we're very specific here. We're very specifically saying today's high or today's close is greater than specifically 20 candles ago's close by 50%. And then we're very specific. We're saying 20 candles ago's close is greater than 40 candles ago's close by 50%. Right? Is this making sense? Like we're referring to just 2 candles in each of these conditions. So ultimately we're looking for 5 instances over the past 100 candles in which a period changed by 50%. But in order to do very specifically what you're looking for, which is 6 months of time, any 20 candle period that moves 50%, you'd almost have to go and create conditions for all of those. You'd almost have to create 120 conditions for today greater than 20 candles ago, yesterday greater than 21 candles ago, the day before that greater than 22 candles ago. Does that make sense? And so therefore, in a way, we're missing things here. Now, are we missing everything? No, we're not, because there's lots of overlap. However, you are missing things here, and that's not really what you want. So I'll have to, Jacob, I'll have to think on this a little bit, perhaps offline. I can think on it and report back to you. But for the time being, let's do this. Jacob's 50% move and say save. And then I'm going to share this with you. One of the, what I consider superpowers of TrendSpider is that I can build things very quickly here. And I can send them to you guys. So Jacob, there you go. Yeah, I'll have to think through this a little bit further. And maybe there's like, I'm kind of thinking about like how you could use range to define this. But I don't know if that even is the way. Like you'd want the range, 20 candle range to be 50%. All right, so let's just tool around for just a second here. So we're talking about range, which is an indicator. So I'm going to say daily range. Range high, greater than. indicator daily range low by at least. So by at least 50%. And your range, the length that you're looking for, that 20 candle range or that 20 candle period, that's your default candle range. So let's just very briefly do this. We'll use the S&P 500 just to kind of like whittle down some of the results. Okay, so ENPH's 20 candle range. Is that possible? $50? Oh, it's 50%. Let me think. I love it when you guys ask me questions that I don't have answers to. This really makes me work hard. All right, so this isn't quite what we're after here. Yeah, these are all breakdowns. So we don't really want that. And there's not a way. Can I say plus 50 in this? I actually don't know. No. Yeah, so it's just a flat. It doesn't matter. The range doesn't matter if it's negative or positive. All right, so for the time being, Jacob, I think that let's start where we just finished. Let's start where we just ended. And let's think a little bit more about that. I'll think about it offline and report back. Give me a follow. If you're on Twitter, shoot me a follow and then follow up with me in like 3 days. I'm going to write a note here. Jacob, 50% move in 20-day period over 6 months. It's a really interesting thing to look for, Jacob. Or maybe it's not an interesting thing to look for. It's not looking for big moves is a very common thing, but looking for them over a 6-month period. Maybe what's the story with the 6-month period? Can you kind of talk me through your thought process on why the 6-month period is important? Because I am very curious about it. I love to know other people's strategies and how they see the markets. Helps me see things in new ways that I wouldn't have considered previously. Recent runs to see what the common reason why stocks are running during different market cycles. Interesting. But 6 months is such a long period of time. What's the, like, would you be worried at all about the 6-month period being too far back? I guess is what I'm kind of curious about. Another thought, what if we used weekly instead of daily? Because if we use weekly instead of daily, or shoot, I mean, even if it's 20 candles, you're talking about a monthly candle, no? So well, but then you have to break down monthly candles by day, which is impossible. Shoot. But weekly might work. 3 months would work, but results may vary. Yeah. It's like your grandma's blood pressure medication. I wonder if we used weekly on this, if that would still work. Like if you said 4 candles, right? Today's weekly close is greater than the weekly open 4 candles ago. And then that would stagger by weeks, but it would be way less conditions. Because it would just be 4 conditions per month. So it would look like this. Let's just do it real quick. weekly close greater than price weekly open. 4 candles ago. Buy at least 50%. So let's first just look and see what comes up there. Nothing in the 500. That's kind of interesting. We'll go to the NYSE. BVH. SKLZ. LOCL, CURV. And then what you could do is you could say 1 greater than 5, 2 greater than 6, 3 greater than 7. And at least this 4 greater than 8. So now we've already covered 2 months. Just by doing that. Oops, 4 greater than 8. 5 greater than 9. So what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to capture more time. 6 greater than 10. 7 greater than 11. 8 greater than 12. So there's 3 months of time. So this is 3. Yeah, so this is 3 months. Any 50% move over 4 weeks in the past 3 months. Oh, I need to make this any. So maybe this is actually kind of more constructive for you. This might actually work better. It doesn't specifically define every single day, but you're talking about every week. The only thing it won't get is like, what if you have a move on a Wednesday, like from a Wednesday to a Wednesday? You know, what we're defining here is from Monday's open to Friday's close, we've got a 50% move. But what could happen is midweek, right? Midweek, you could have an announcement, news, whatever. What's the symbol I follow? What's up? What's up, bro? Symbol I follow for Bitcoin. BTC USD, and I look at Coinbase. Now, there are some folks who follow Binance because presumably there's more volume on Binance, but I don't know. I have my own personal thoughts about these things that we're not going to get into. But I prefer just to look at Coinbase because usually I'm not paying a ton of attention to volume. I mean, it's in the back of my mind, but I'm really just kind of using this chart to understand where price is. So day-to-day volume is not super important to me on something like Bitcoin. So I would use Coinbase. It's kind of the most respected, the most regulated exchange. If all the exchanges die, the last one that dies, I think, is Coinbase. So that's why I use it. But there is an argument to be made for Binance. But yeah, anyway, what I was saying, Jacob, here, this is specifically looking for Monday to Friday, a 50% move from Monday to Friday. But that 50% move could occur from Wednesday to Wednesday, right? And then we kind of miss it, which is why the breakdown by day, even though it's way more, it's way more difficult to script. It covers, it covers everything. It covers any 20-day range by day. It's just you need a lot more conditions. I'll have to think through this. I'm going to need to talk to our developer and see, do we have a propagated list? Let me see what we have on the crypto list side. I actually haven't looked in a minute. So this is mine. Actually, let's do this. Crypto lists. The thing that I think about with crypto, I'm almost certain that the crypto lists, yeah, see, so you've got this BTC USD across 34 exchanges. So this is a pre-built list of Bitcoin across exchanges. Looks like even some of these exchanges are dead already. So we might have to update these lists a little bit. Well, Jacob, it's possible. It's just going to require quite a bit more scripting. It at least as far as my brain has been able to take this is that it's going to require quite a bit more scripting. It's totally possible to do. But I want to talk to our head dev and see how he would do it. Because he is a much smarter guy than I am, and he might have some really efficient way. There might be an indicator that I'm just not familiar with that would do it. So daily stock picks. Here are all of your individual symbols across all of the exchanges that they're available on. And then we have exchange lists as well. So Binance US, all spot symbols. Cracked. It is not possible to test both directions at the same time on the strategy tester. We get that question a lot. I know that there are folks out there that really want that functionality. Unfortunately, it's not possible at this time. Yeah, you're welcome. Both of y'all, Jacob and Daily. So you could search in here and you can just type in Coinbase and it'll bring up all of the spot symbols for Coinbase, or type in Binance. It'll bring up all the spot symbols for Binance. It would be really, really sweet, Cracked, if that was possible. But presumably, you know, if you test a long bias strategy and you test a short bias strategy in the opposite direction and you find good results from them individually, you can always run them both. Like utilizing trading bots, utilizing our bots. You could set them both to go. You know, this is just like a basic long bias strategy. We built this yesterday with daily stock picks. You could launch your long as a strat, send it to your broker, have it fill, and then you could launch your short as your strat. But I understand why you would want to compound those. You'd want to see what the compounded results were from both. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news on that. Perhaps that'll come in the future. I'm not certain. I'm not certain what it would take for that to happen or if that's on the roadmap at this particular time. But I could check in and see. And also it's something that you could request too. I'm going to make it so that you guys can't see me for a split second. Do this. Right here where it says contact us, down in the bottom right-hand corner of your chart view. If you click on that, this is a direct feed into our employee chat room, and you can make requests here. So if you have something that you want to see on the platform, it never hurts to push it to these guys because they'll push it up to Dev. Even our CEO, our founder and CEO, Dan, he even hangs out in chat and answers questions. So, you know, you might be able to reach him directly and talk to him about it. All right, I'm going to bring me back. Show how best to use auto fib. Well, how you use the fibs is going to be unique to you. I'm going to start with that. And I only start with that because everybody kind of uses fibs a different way. Now, the auto fib is going to automatically draw a fib sequence over the most recently completed move per the time frame that you're on. It's also an auto analysis tool. And because it's an auto analysis tool, it lives and dies by this vertical line right here, which is called the truth and analysis timestamp. Now, this truth and analysis timestamp defines the last time you've updated your chart. And we can update our charts by clicking on this, this refresh icon here. So when I click on the refresh icon, the truth line jumps to the current candle, and we might get an updated version of our auto fibs. Now, auto fibs are always going to measure in the opposite direction of the move that they're identifying. So the move that this thing has identified from this low to, I guess this was yesterday's gap up, obviously we have eclipsed that move. Like we were talking about earlier on the stream, in strong trends, you get these really light pullbacks, sometimes just to the 0.382 or the 0.236 or even the 50%, and then it continues. So in a scenario like this, it's identifying this section, or it's identifying this as the most recently completed swing. Well, price extended above it. So what I would do in this instance is I would right click on it, go to properties, and choose reverse. And I've done that because I want to see the fib levels higher. And we got a nice little 50% extension from this move that got nicely rejected today. Now, if I switch time frames, I go to like an hourly. It's the same thing, actually. Hold on. Let's go to, maybe I was on the hourly before. I can't recall where I was before. But let's go to a different time frame. Same deal. If it's measuring a section of the chart and price has extended above it, then I'm always going to right click on it and choose reverse because I want to see the fib, the continuation extensions. Let's see here. Let's see what, all right. So in this instance, it makes way more sense to leave it exactly as it is. This is the most recently completed swing, and we want to see what the fib extensions are to the upside, right? Because it's a downside move, it's always going to plot the fibs to the upside by default. If it were an upside move, it's always going to plot the fibs to the downside by default. But in this case where you're making a new high, you want to see those extensions. So that 0.236 came into play. Looks like they're trying to maybe slightly front run the 1.5 extension of this particular swing. If we go to a weekly, notice on a weekly, it's measuring an upside move, so it measures the fib sequence in reverse to the downside, right? Well, what happens if we gain this high and continue higher? You're going to want to see the fib extensions up. So if you gain that high and a new auto fib is not drawn, then we're just going to reverse it, and we're going to be looking for these levels higher. This gets into what we were talking about earlier with Microsoft. You know, the difference between Apple and Microsoft in this case is that you didn't just wick through and make a new all-time high and then fail. They actually closed well above previous all-time highs for like a month before failing. So this, to me, becomes a actually proper new all-time high. So then I even think about other things. I think about, like, even though it's not painting it, in this case, I might utilize a manual fib and draw from the proper all-time high to the swing low that we just saw a couple weeks ago down here in October, and then look for these extensions higher. And then I might also do this. I might also add that auto fib, reverse it, and see if there are any instances where you have multiple fib lines kind of coinciding at the same spot. Right here is a pretty clean example of that, around 214, 215. You not only have the 50% fib extension from the all-time high down to this swing low there, but you also have the 0.236 extension from the bigger swing that brought us up to the all-time high right there as well. You got the 0.618 at 218. Like, so this area might be an area of interest for me as a potential target if you go and you make new all-time highs and you start pushing higher. You've got some stuff to get through though before that happens. Price action trader, ICT, you've got a pretty gnarly little fair value gap that starts around in here. They filled most of it because this is where the bottom of it is. They filled most of it, but they've got a little bit left to go. So you might see what they do here first. But does that kind of help you out a little bit? Cracked? Fibs are an interesting fibs are an interesting world. I've seen a lot of people do some really weird things with fibs over the years. Or a lot of people use fibs in a lot of unique and different ways. Okay, cool. Right on. I'm glad that helps a little bit. The thing that's difficult is because of how it works, because of it measuring the most recently completed move, there are just things about it that it doesn't always grab the section of the chart that I personally identify. And whether that's right or wrong is neither here nor there, right? It's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just identifying the most recently completed moves, which is in theory, that's kind of a math thing. Let me see something real quick. Before I say something, I want to confirm something. Yeah, so this is how that most recently completed move is being identified. We don't yet have a new proper pivot. So this is the zigzag indicator. And you'll notice how there's not a green line being drawn. You know, in uptrends, you have this green line that kind of covers the whole swing. And then downtrends, you have a red line that covers the whole swing. Well, technically speaking, we haven't on the weekly here, we haven't defined a new swing yet. We're still in this downswing. So until this reverses and we actually have a green bar, a green line, identifying a new swing, it's going to draw the fib on this green swing here because this red swing is not closed out yet. And that's why it's drawing the fib on this swing and not this one, because this one hasn't closed yet. When this one closes, this move higher, you're going to have a daily fib, auto fib drawn here. And because it's up, it's going to point down, right? Because the move is up, the fib's going to point down. I've got this on reverse right now. I think at the end of the day, it's really all about your time frame. Again, it's all about your time frame. How long are you going to be in this trade? Are you scalping daily options, or are you a long-term hodler and looking for like the big extension move? Or are you somewhere in between? And from there, that's how you should be thinking about utilizing fibs. Because it might make sense. It might make a ton of sense to utilize auto fibs on the daily here. I mean, this is your most recently completed swing. And so you're looking for, since we've pushed above it, you're looking for the extensions. But then if you're a little bit longer term, then maybe you want to be thinking more about a weekly extension, or, you know, I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly where your head is at, but that's kind of how I think about using them. All right, guys. Well, so I'm curious to know if anybody has any other questions. We've been hanging out for about an hour. It's been a nice little hour. And I'm happy to continue hanging out with y'all if you have questions. If you don't, then I might knock off here. But I've really enjoyed doing this, and I would like to continue doing these. Yeah, so Cracked, that's a great question. It's really a fluid, I can only provide a fluid answer in that I could say I could do these whenever I want. You know, I can really go live anytime. It's kind of more so about what folks need. So at least for the foreseeable future, I'm probably going to be doing these relatively often. Maybe not every single day, but a couple of times a week. Just pop it in, maybe early in the morning, sometime around now, after the initial rush, after the initial open, and everybody's really like zoomed in. This kind of like downtime, lunchish period might be kind of interesting. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, y'all are here hanging out. So the time works for you. Is there a time that would work better for y'all? Really, this was kind of a test. I used to do these a lot. I used to go live a ton, and then I kind of slowed down doing it. Just kind of got a varying response from whether it was necessary to do all the time. But with it being our Black Friday sale, you know, we've got a lot of new folks signing up for the platform. So I wanted to add just something. I wanted to add an opportunity for folks to tune in, get questions answered live. So I'm happy to do these more often. If you guys have specific times that you think would work really well, either for you or for anybody, I'm all ears, because it doesn't have to be in the morning. It could be after the close. It could be evening. I don't know. Now is good. You're in the UK. Ah, cool. Right on. Yeah, my gut instinct is kind of like a mid trading day time. And I might alter it a little bit. Maybe tomorrow I go on at what time I go on today. I went on at 11 Eastern today. Maybe tomorrow I try 12 Eastern. Or 1 Eastern or something. Just like a more lunchtime midday thing. I'll probably just play around with it and see. But put on notifications for our channel if you're interested. No pressure, but put on notifications for our channel. And I'll go ahead and get another one loaded up. And we'll plan on doing this again. How much do people make off trading? What instruments do you mostly trade, options or futures? Well, how much people make off trading is really, really unique per the trader, you know? Me personally, I have a personal goal of like at least $100 a day. That's kind of where my head's at. I'm not trying to get rich. I'm trying to just add a little bit to my income and you know, not be too risky in any way. I trade futures personally. I trade futures. I don't love options because I don't love decay. It's just bit me way too many times over the years, and I've learned that they just don't work for me. But futures seems to work for me. I like futures. But everybody's different, you know? Some people trade once a month. Some people trade 100 times a day. And some people make tens of thousands of dollars a day, and some people lose tens of thousands of dollars a day, and you know, everything in between. Johnny, I appreciate the kind word. I'm glad that this time works for you. Before I get up out of here, any other questions from anybody about anything? If you're not yet a TrendSpider user, if you're not a TrendSpider, I don't even want to say user. If you're not a TrendSpider trader, what are you waiting for exactly? We have an unbelievable deal going on right now for Black Friday. You can save up to 82%. 82%. It's like $250 for the year. It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy how good of a deal this is. If you haven't taken advantage of it, now is the time. I'm going to give you guys a link real quick. You can sign up for a yearly account. You can prepay. That's how you're going to get your best deal, is a prepaid account for a year. That's how you're going to get that full 82% off. But you don't have to do that. You can sign up for a month. You know, just give it a go. You could sign up for... You can get a trial if you want a trial. Again, discount isn't quite as good, but you can always get one to give it a go. Here's a link for y'all. That will take you to the YouTube discount. If you're not a TrendSpider user, we would love, or if you're not a TrendSpider trader, we would love to have you on board. And again, like I said, you have access to me through my Twitter account. I'm going to make it hide me just real quick. And again, you have this. You have the contact us button. This is your direct feed to our employee chat room. You can ask all kinds of questions here. You can, you know, how do I find this? Or how do I find that? You can ask for help with strategies. If you need help with building out a strategy idea and you don't know how to build it, ask them for help. They are there to answer those questions for you. Another thought before I get on out of here. We were talking earlier about AI assistants across the platform. In the scripting, you've got the GPT conditions where you can type in what you're looking for and it will create those conditions for you. You also have this tool called the assistant, and the assistant is your GPT way of going about learning how to utilize the platform. So all kinds of things, from adding indicators to your chart to testing, back testing strategies. You can ask the assistant to do things and it'll do things for you. So for example, if I just type in VWAP here into the assistant, the first thing that comes up says add alpha trends anchored VWAP to your charts, add volume weighted average price to your charts, add volume weighted average price with standard deviation bands. So I could click on add volume weighted average price to my charts and it adds that indicator directly to my chart there. But I could do more with it than that. For example, what if I wanted to test a MACD cross on Apple? Right in test MACD cross. First thing that comes up, first thing that comes up, test MACD cross strategy for the current symbol. It's going to open up MACD cross in your strategy tester and it's going to immediately run the test on Apple for the MACD cross. I mean, that's pretty darn intuitive, right? Could you upgrade to Elite Plus and get a discount? Correct. So you're already a TrendSpider. You're on TrendSpider? Advantages of using TrendSpider. I mean, the big value add with TrendSpider is just the sheer fact that you don't have to go all over the place to get your data. From being able to test strategies to being able to see unusual options data, your assistant being able to navigate you around the platform, scanning, testing, some fundamental analysis, not every single fundamental data point, but we've got quite a bit of fundamental data that you can grab out of here. Automated fibs, automated trend lines, automated chart patterns, the ability to scan for all of these things and easily find those chart pattern setups that you're looking for. There's all kinds of stuff in here. If you are already a TrendSpider trader and you would like to upgrade, are you on a yearly or are you on a monthly account? Johnny, is there anything that we're working on that would bring in some fundamental data into the screening tool? Well, there is already some fundamental data there. It's not a ton of stuff. My guess is that you're thinking like, I don't know. I'm not going to guess. What are you thinking? What kind of data are you looking for? PE ratios and those sorts of things? Correct. You're on a yearly. And when did you sign up? In essence, correct. You could absolutely take advantage of the offer. you would have to prepay for an additional year. If you're already on a yearly account, you would just prepay for another year of the account that you want. And yeah, you would be able to take advantage of the deal. And if you're, let's say you're on a yearly account that expires in March of next year. Well, if you prepay today, then your new yearly account will start the day that your current yearly account expires. So it's not like there's overlap there. It's just going to get added onto your account whenever your current plan expires. So honestly, correct, I would take advantage of that because it's a stupid deal. It's so good. And if you're enjoying the platform and it's working for you, then yeah, lock it in. This deal is not going to be around much longer. Is it similar to TradingView? Yeah, sure, of course. There are similarities and there are differences. I can't speak to, I'm not a TradingView expert, I have to admit. So I can't speak to all of the absolutely all of the ways that the platforms work differently. They do work differently. And TradingView has some things that we have, and we have some things that they have. Or rather, TradingView has some things that we don't have, and we have some things that TradingView doesn't have. Can you connect your broker to it? Yes. So in a couple of different ways. So let me show you this real quick. I'm just going to grab a strategy. We started talking about this briefly a little bit ago. But we have trading bots now. So you can take strategies. Once you find a strategy that works for you, you can launch that bad boy as a trading bot. And you can link that trading bot via webhook to your brokerage. And you can do so with a couple of different products. I always send folks here because this is ours. Signal Stack. And so let me show you. Here's our broker directory, our current broker directory. This list is going to grow over time. If you see your brokerage on here, then you can link it. And I'll do this too so that you have it. So from here, let me show you guys really quick. I just need to grab my authentication code. Hold tight. I'm grabbing it. Oh, darn. Oh, darn. Oh, these codes are about to die. Let's try this again. No. All right. This ain't working. Let's try it this way. There we go. Actually, we'll just skip this. So what I can do, I'm not even gonna bother. I can grab a webhook. Essentially, I can go to my dashboard. I can build a webhook. I can grab it. So I'm just copying a webhook. I go back here. I paste the webhook. And I can then, define what I want that webhook to do, buy, sell, define the quantity. How many shares do I want to buy? And say create bot. And now that bot is live. So it's actually in a trade right now. So it won't just immediately get me into this trade, but the bot is live. I can monitor it right here. And it will buy, essentially, right now, I just have it set for 1 share on either end. So buy and sell Apple shares based off of this strategy that I built. And you saw that was like 3 clicks. Super, super easy. No, Isht. I'm here to answer your questions, so ask them. That's why I'm here. More of what I've seen from platforms like MarketSmith. Maybe if I was in a different plan, though, I'd have more access. What plan are you on, Johnny? Service. How long is the sale? And through the end of the month. May cancel TradingView and sign up with this. I learned to trade with Trading. Oh, cool. Yeah, he's a good dude. We like Trading Wars. He's a good fella. The sale goes through the end of the month. And throughout the month, ultimately the deal that you're going to get on the yearly prepay is going to remain the same. It's going to stay about that at that 82% off to sign up for a full year. The deal for the monthly account and for the yearly account with the trials, those deals are those are in flux. Like right now, we're offering, let me see what we're offering here. I believe we're offering free futures data for a year. We're offering 3 months of signal stack. Let me see, and what else? Yeah, free futures data for a year, free order routing for 3 months, and a free one-on-one TrendSpider training. This is like about $430 worth of stuff for free, but that's only available for a very short amount of time, and I'm not going to tell y'all how long it's available, but it's available for a short amount of time. You can find out how much it is, or you can find out how long it's available for if you just go to the pricing page. I'll send it to you guys so you have it. Oh, Johnny, yeah, you got to upgrade, bro. Hold on one sec. Let's see here. I want to go to pricing, but I'm logged in. Here we go. So on the Essential, there are quite a bit of things that you're missing out on. You're missing out on dark pool volume. This is crypto fear and greed indicator. Fred data. That's not exactly like the PE ratios and the business stuff, but this is kind of interesting to be able to see all these charts. Unusual options flow. Another not quite fundamental, but still kind of interesting. I mean, still very interesting. FINRA short volume, market breadth, insider trading, analyst ratings, seasonality. This one's pretty cool. Again, not fundamental. This is a technical indicator. It doesn't populate on your charts like a normal indicator, but it utilizes price and indicators within it. And we can talk about any of this stuff if you want to. Yeah, there are some limitations there. There are definitely some limitations there. Is there a subscription for Signal Stack? Once Signal Stack is connected to TrendSpider and Broker, the bot can be live and execute trades. There is a subscription for Signal Stack. Yes. But signing up for TrendSpider right now, you get to try that out for 3 months for free. Here, you could just see it right here. Limited time bonus offer. Automate up to 250 trades per month with TrendSpider alerts and bots via Signal Stack for 3 months. And then you would just want to pop over to Signal Stack. Oops. And check out the pricing. So your bots are going to live for... the alerts on your bots within TrendSpider are going to live. They just go forever. If you want those alerts to become executions, then you've got yearly billing and monthly billing with different amounts of signals per month, depending on the way you trade, the time frame that you trade, how many names. But you can have as many bots running as you want. So you could have these things flipping on and off and on and off. Honestly, it's a really great way, you know, especially anybody out there who has trouble managing their emotions. Bots are a crystal clear, immediate, direct line to avoiding emotional responses in trading. Highly recommend playing around with bots and utilizing them. Maybe not for everything that you do. I know it takes a little bit of the fun out of the trading, right? Because some people just really love to push the buttons. But, you know, allocate a certain number or a certain amount of your capital to the trading bots. Spend some time in the strategy tester, build you some strategies that work really well. Yesterday, we were chatting with Daily Stock Picks. I don't know if he's still here, but we were chatting with him yesterday, and we built a strategy on Apple. Excuse me. Very simple strategy. Monster strategy, though. Beats buy and hold by 7x, 8x. Pretty sweet and super simple. Yeah, Johnny, what I would do if I were you, are you yearly or monthly? Johnny, if you're a monthly, now is absolutely the time. I would jump into that prepay yearly in a hot second. If you're yearly, honestly, I would take advantage of it too. Like, why not? Oh, yeah, sure, correct. See, this is another piece here. I can easily transfer you guys strategies. So you come up with cool stuff that works. Share it with your friends who are also on TrendSpider. Or put it behind a paywall and sell it to people that follow you. Me, I'm an open book. I share things. I create things that work, and I share things. So yeah, this is actually a really cool strategy. It's super simple. I'm thinking about making a very short video on how I built this, because I've demonstrated how I built it a couple of times. But I'm thinking about making like a proper technical analysis series video about it, because it's pretty robust. It's super simple, but it's a pretty robust strategy that works nicely across time frames too. Like this is on the 30-minute. I think 30-minute is the best relative to the asset, but on the hourly, you beat over 4 years. You beat on Apple by 4x. Like, look at that equity curve. This is your equity curve relative to Apple. Imagine running this bot on Apple for the past 4 years. You would be in tall cotton. Johnny, you are on the yearly plan. Yeah, when did you renew? When's the last time you renewed? Or when did you sign up? Like, how much time is left on your plan? Because like I was saying before, you could go ahead and prepay for an additional year, and it'll just kick in whenever your current yearly plan ends. If you signed up 2 months ago and you still have 10 months left, you could still sign up for another year right now, and it would just start when your current plan is over in 10 months from now. Oh, this month, Johnny, dude, this is your time. Take advantage of this. This sale is live for 2 more weeks. I'm not telling you how to do it today, but this sale is live for 2 more weeks through the end of the month. Take advantage of this. This is definitely the best deal you're going to get from us. This is really the best deal that we've ever offered. And this is the best deal you're going to get from us absolutely this year. I don't know what they've got planned for next year. But if you're up for renewal this month, 100% go ahead and prepay. You could upgrade if you wanted to, but just tell them that you want to prepay for another year, and they'll hook you up. That's true. You know, I mean, you have to disclose, or you have to say past results do not equal future performance. But 4 years of data is pretty robust. I mean, it went through COVID, and it really managed to maintain a really nice curve. No steep drawdowns. Really, really clean. It's just stayed out of COVID. So here's the COVID dump. And you could see that the strategy went flatline for that whole period of time. So it just completely avoided it. Looks like it tried to take one trade initially here, and that didn't work out, but it wasn't any sort of steep drawdown really. And really ever since COVID, this thing has just been a monster. Let me zoom back out. So guys, what are we thinking? Any other questions? Oh, you know what? Isht UC in New York. Let me show you one other thing too. This is kind of a little secret thing. It's not available for everybody yet. But you were asking if you can connect your broker to it. Notice this little widget I got here on the right-hand side? Trading. Yeah, that's right. We've got live trading coming to the platform here. So you guys are of some of the very, very first to know about this. We have not talked about this. We have definitely not launched this yet. But in short order, you are going to be able to trade directly from the platform as well. So that's a whole new world of features that are coming. But yeah, we've been at this for an hour and a half. I'm probably going to be getting out of here shortly. Any other questions before I go? I really appreciate you guys hanging out and asking questions. Makes me feel good to be able to answer some questions and help you guys get a little bit more understanding about the platform, how it works. I love being able to share cool things that I find, helping y'all build out different scanners that you might be looking to utilize. I'm going to think a little bit more about that scanner we were building earlier with the 50% move in 20 days. So follow me on Twitter. If you have questions for me, you're more than welcome to reach out to me on Twitter at Krutzky Trades. I'm going to add that one more time. And don't forget, you've got that contact us button. You can always reach out to us here in chat if you have any questions about anything. If you have not yet taken advantage of the Black Friday sale, now is the time. Take advantage of that sale. Tell them Jason sent you. And yeah, I'm going to think through kind of the next time I want to do one of these. I'll definitely do another one this week. Maybe we'll do it, Friday, or maybe we'll do it tomorrow. I don't know, but, sign up, or rather, subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get updates when we're going live. I'll probably do, like I said, I'll probably do another one this week, and it'll probably be about around the same time. And again, we could just kind of hang out and look at charts or build strategies or build scanners or whatever you guys want to do. So again, thank you guys so much for being here with me. I really do appreciate it. My name is Jason. It's been a pleasure. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you're trading, trade them well. Be safe out there. To those of you guys who are TrendSpider users, thank you so much for being TrendSpider. Actually, not users, TrendSpider traders. Thank you so much for being TrendSpider traders. If you are not yet, now is the time. And yeah, y'all take care of yourselves. We will be back again very, very soon. And yeah, y'all have a great rest of your day. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye-bye.